Hi everyone, this video is on my new purchase here, which is this Porter Cable pancake compressor. It's not so much an unboxing or a review of this particular compressor, although I'll talk about what I like about it, but more of a comparison of what my needs are for a portable air compressor and why I chose this one over some of the other options, not just other pancake compressors, but other small portable air compressors as well. So stay tuned. To open this topic, let me define what it means to be a portable compressor, at least to me. It's a compressor with a 1 to 2 horsepower motor and a tank between 2 and 10 gallons. Anything smaller would be, in my opinion, like an inflator or a little hobbyist compressor, and anything bigger wouldn't be portable at all, in my opinion. With that being said, here's what I'm replacing. This is a 10-year-old 2 horsepower, 8-gallon portable unit that was my main compressor for several years. In fact, this is the first compressor I ever bought about 10 years ago. I used it in the garage for my air wrenches and my punch and chisel, but primarily I used it in my home remodeling projects for my air nailers, whether that be brad, trim, or framing nailers. This is a cheap Harbor Freight unit. I paid less than $100 for it, like I said, 10 years ago. And since then, I've had to repair it multiple times. I replaced pretty much everything except for the tank and the motor. I mean, I replaced the tank line. You can see now it's a copper line instead of the cheap plastic. The switch, the regulator, every single valve on the unit has been replaced. And, you know, I haven't spent a lot of money on it because I replaced these parts with cheap in-kind replacements, whether they be other Central Pneumatic or maybe Coleman PowerMate type replacement parts. So all in, I probably spent less than $150 to run this thing for about a decade. So I think I got my money's worth. Well, here are the specs of my existing compressor. So when I thought to replace it, I wanted to know what currently works for me. I just need something a little bit more, a little lighter and more portable. So the biggest spec for me when I look at a new air compressor is that rating of SCFM at 90 psi. And you can see this one, it says airflow is 5 SCFM at 90 psi. So that's the one that I look at. All my air tools and all the air tools you buy will have a SCFM rating, likely at 90 psi, because most tools like nailers and wrenches and all that stuff operate at about 90 psi. So most likely that's the most important figure for you, not the one at 40 psi. So an example would be, say, a nailer runs at about half psi, right? So here's a little specification chart. I think this came off the new version of my compressor from Harbor Freight, and it says that the type of compressor I had is perfect for light woodworking like brad nailing and stapling and inflating, and intermittent use like heavy nailing like finish and frame nailing, and some spray painting and air wrenches and things like that. And that's exactly what I've been using it for. But now that I have my shop compressor, I no longer need it for any automotive things and anything that uses a high CFM, like anything with a rotary motor in it. It's going to typically, like sanders and grinders and ratchets and stuff like that, are going to use a lot more air. All I really need this for is for home stuff, the remodeling stuff, mainly nailers, right? So occasional some frame nailing. I'm not going to build a house with it, but just shooting some nails into a new header or a small wall or something like that, and then finish nailing. That's mainly what I'm going to use this for. Now, again, the reason that I want a new one is because I want one that's much lighter and more compact than the one I have now. And I realized this in the last project that I did when I finally, for the last time, hopefully, carried this 65-pound beast up 2 flights of stairs. And I said, I've had enough. I'm going to get a new one. So when I started looking for a new one, I looked at the attributes that you can see on the left-hand side. And if those are the type of attributes you want in a portable compressor and in the order that you want, then this is probably the right way to go, which is a hot dog style compressor with a 2-gallon tank or bigger. This one is a Makita that Home Depot sells. I also looked at similar units that were made by Fortress, which is Harbor Freight, and California Air, which you can buy on Amazon. They all boast motors that can recharge the tank very quickly and, importantly, very quietly at 60 dB, although I don't think any of them actually work at 60 dB. But they all offer about between 2 and 2.2 SCFM at 90 psi, which would work for me, I guess. and they're relatively lightweight and portable. They average around 40 pounds. It was anywhere between 36 and 44 pounds, and they all cost between $175 and $200. Obviously, I ended up going with the pancake compressor because of the weight and the shape when I carry it. These were on average 10 pounds lighter. So these the same attributes I have up, but they're in a different order. And this is what was really more important to me was the weight and portability. Like I said, 10 pounds lighter on average between that hot dog style compressor. And they had more airflow at 2.6. This one's 2.6 SCFM. As far as build quality and cost, the unit had great reviews about its longevity and quality, both product reviews and videos too, where people were talking about having these things for 10 years with no problems and beating it up and it's still working. Mine cost around $99 at Home Depot, which is about half of what those quiet compressors sell for. The other nice thing is if you can't find a good deal on the Porter cable, like at Home Depot or whatever, that's not a problem because the Craftsman and Boss Stitch units appear to be just rebadged and repainted versions of this unit. So whatever option gives you the best buy, you can pretty much find one at any home improvement store. So the next thing I'm going to show you is what I did immediately after getting this compressor. One modification I made was the drain valve. I can't stand this style of drain valve, which is just a screw out type drain where you kind of unscrew it with your fingers and there's like an O-ring. And that O-ring can usually fail. It's just a little piece of rubber. And so I just would rather replace it with a ball valve, which a lot of these compressors have. So first thing I did was started removing it. It is a 1/4-inch female thread and the hole inside the tank. So I had this elbow to transition it horizontally, the valve, and I thought that'd be a good thing since it's so low to the ground. So it's 1/4-inch male to 1/4-inch female. That brass valve, I happen to already have it, and I'm putting some quality tape on it, and then I'm putting a little bit of that metal Mega Lock on it. It's that Kevlar goop there, that thread sealant goop there. So I'll go ahead and thread in that elbow there right into the tank. And once I get it to where I want, I will go ahead and do the same thing with the little valve I have, put the tape on it, put a little bit of that Kevlar goop on there and thread that valve in. And then I have a nice serviceable, usable drain valve that's a lot better. And so what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to turn the audio back on and you'll hear the compressor actually go. So I can demonstrate it for you.